In the early hours of June 17, 1972, 5 men were arrested inside the headquarters of the Democratic National Committee at the Watergate complex in Washington, D.C. At first glance, the incident appeared to be a minor burglary, an isolated crime with little national significance. However, what began as a routine police matter would soon unravel into one of the most consequential political scandals in modern American history, the Watergate scandal. At the time, the United States was deeply divided. The Vietnam War, civil rights struggles, and widespread public distrust of government institutions had already shaken confidence in political leadership. President Richard Nixon was seeking re-election in 1972 and would go on to win in a landslide. Yet behind this overwhelming victory, a secret campaign of political espionage and abuse of power was quietly unfolding. The men arrested at Watergate were linked to the Committee to Re-elect the President, commonly known as CREEP. Investigators soon discovered that the break-in was not an isolated act, but part of a broader effort to spy on political opponents, sabotage campaigns, and gather intelligence that could be used to influence elections. While initial attempts were made to dismiss the incident as insignificant, suspicions quickly grew. Journalists played a crucial role in bringing the truth to light. Reporters Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein of The Washington Post followed the trail of money connected to the burglars and uncovered links between the break-in and the Nixon administration. Their reporting, supported by confidential sources within the government, kept the story alive even as officials denied wrongdoing. As investigations intensified, the focus shifted from the burglary itself to the actions taken afterward. Evidence emerged that senior officials within the administration had attempted to obstruct justice by paying hush money, pressuring the FBI, and misleading the public. These efforts raised serious constitutional concerns about the misuse of executive power. In 1973, the United States Senate established a special committee to investigate Watergate. Televised hearings captivated the nation, exposing Americans to hours of testimony from former White House aides and government officials. One revelation proved especially damaging. President Nixon had secretly recorded conversations in the Oval Office. These tape recordings held the potential to confirm or contradict official statements made by the administration. When investigators demanded access to the tapes, President Nixon refused, citing executive privilege and national security. This refusal set off a constitutional confrontation between the presidency and the judicial system. The case eventually reached the Supreme Court, which ruled unanimously that the president must surrender the tapes. When the recordings were released, they revealed clear evidence that President Nixon had participated in efforts to obstruct justice shortly after the Watergate break-in. One tape, later known as the "smoking gun," demonstrated that Nixon had approved a plan to interfere with the FBI investigation. This revelation erased any remaining doubt about presidential involvement.
On the investigation, the Democratic break-in thing, we're back in the problem area because the FBI is not under control because Gray doesn't exactly know how to control us, and their investigation is now leading into some productive areas because they've been able to trace the money, not through the money itself, but through the bank, sources, the banker stuff, and it goes some directions we don't want it to go. Also, there have been some things like an informant came in off the street to the FBI in Miami.
Facing near-certain impeachment by the House of Representatives, President Nixon announced his resignation on August 8, 1974. He became the first and only U.S. president to resign from office. The following day, Vice President Gerald Ford was sworn in as president and later issued a full pardon to Nixon, a decision that remains controversial.
Therefore, I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow. Vice President Ford will be sworn in as president at that hour in this office.
The Watergate scandal had lasting consequences beyond the fall of a presidency. It fundamentally altered the relationship between the American public and its government. Trust in political institutions declined sharply, and skepticism toward authority became more deeply rooted in American political culture. In response to Watergate, Congress enacted reforms designed to limit executive power and increase transparency. These included campaign finance regulations, stronger oversight mechanisms, and new ethics rules for public officials. The media, too, gained renewed recognition as a watchdog essential to democratic accountability. Watergate demonstrated that no individual, not even the president, is above the law. It exposed the vulnerabilities of democratic systems while also proving their resilience. Through investigative journalism, judicial independence, and constitutional checks and balances, the truth ultimately prevailed. More than half a century later, the Watergate scandal remains a defining moment in American history. It serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power and a reminder of the enduring importance of transparency, accountability, and the rule of law.